All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I got IFBB Pro Emeric Delczeg here and patent holder of Humanifort. I was going to ask Emeric, we talked before and you had talked about not believing so much in receptor saturation for the testosterone. And you're talking about down regulation like an insulin receptor would after being exposed to insulin for so long. Is that kind of what you're thinking
So
of?
I learned that way back in Romania when I became also a part of the Olympic weightlifting team in my city, and I went to the gym because I had not weights at home, so I had weights to do squats. So there were a couple of guys in a national Romanian team, and they had to go to a training camp to Bucharest before going to Olympics or other international world championship. So they can explain me. They did that with the Dianabol, because back then it was Dianabol because it will clear out the system very quick. So when the coach approached me, because I was naturally genetically kind of strong, so he explained me that all I have to work on my technique, then take this, and that's going to make you champion. So when I said, take that, what was that? So then I was those guys in the national team. He showed me some people say, that's Dianabol. Really? And I said, so, well, how you take it, what you take it? So, well, when you take Dianabol, also you're going to take other supplements for, keeping your liver functioning normal and your kidney. And then he said, you go a very short period of time, only like 6 weeks. Then 6 weeks off, back and forth, back and forth. Okay. And I said, why don't you just stay all the time? He said, well, done some research done by the Russians and the Bulgarians, also the Romanians, but the Russians, they were the first get really involved to see what's happening when athletes, they're taking androgenic supplements like drugs. So what they noticed that they really improved in the first 6 months, they really improved strength, recovery, but then after that they plateau.
That's 6 weeks, you're saying?
Yeah. So then plateau. So then they double the dose and they still didn't get stronger, but toxicity went up. Sure. So the blood will show. So what they did, they get off 6 months, 6 weeks, they were back again, same original lower dose, and each time they went back, they had the same very good response as first time. So that's why anybody start using any kind of dose. Some gurus, I don't know who start this, then when you start a cycle, you have to start at 500 milligrams. I don't know where the hell they come from. So anything you start, and in bodybuilding, they call it a blast. So when you stay blessed, you take higher dose than your body will produce normally. But they don't know, and they don't do research on, wait a second, what's my body if I'm a healthy adult male, what my body will produce. So our brain produces some testosterone, but mainly the testicles is the main source. So healthy men can produce between 3 and 10 milligrams a day. So 3 milligrams is very low, but still you have something. So you never
around like the 200-300 mark.
Yeah. So no matter what, you're never going to be zero level testosterone. Right. Impossible. Right. So when people take testosterone replacement, I don't know why you call them replacement. It's a replacement if you're able to take all your testosterone out of your body and replace them with something else. Yeah. What you do a therapy, you're adding.
Well, you're replacing the lost amount.
Yeah. So it's basically, it's normally should be called a therapy, a testosterone therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so whatever anybody starts, any kind of dose, for example, you can start with 100 milligram a week. So you are injecting more than your body would make. Now, probably you are healthy, but probably you may not producing 10 milligram, maybe 8 milligram or 6 milligram. Yeah. So that's why if you go for like, let's say 100 milligram, so now you're injecting more, then you will be a very healthy, genetically gifted guy, makes 10 milligram. So you're already adding their 30 milligram more what you make. So that from that you should have a result. So when you start doing that, you feel unbelievable. And usually the good feeling effect goes about 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, start taper down. So anybody does any blasting should be no more than maximum 10 weeks, but 8 weeks the best. So I see some guys, they're doing 16 weeks, they stay 1 year, 6 months. It's nonsense. And then they doubling the dose. Then they have these gurus coming here. Oh, you don't respond. You have to add another compound. They have another compound. So the combination, they think the combination would solve the problem. The problem can be solved after 8 weeks. You come down where your body would make normally.
Yeah.
And then you just have to put in mind, in 8 weeks, you're not going to tiny, you're not going to get small. Possible to get small in 8 weeks. So, for example, you start with 100 milligram, you feel fantastic. You keep going after 8 weeks, suddenly you don't notice anymore that well-being, that hardness, tightness, you don't feel it. So you think maybe I get a fake badge. It's not a fake badge. Your body starts losing sensitivity. It's not sensitive anymore to androgen. I know we're going to be a lot of argument because you have gurus there, then you saturate your receptors. Receptors doesn't get saturated. It just resists. It's no sensitive anymore. So anybody does anything, if anybody starts with 300 milligram, it's fine. I'm not saying don't start with 300 milligram. Do you need 300 milligram? No. But if you want somebody to start with 300 or 500, it's fine. But don't go more than 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, you must come down to a level which your body would make normally. I would suggest somebody is doing 500, 800 milligrams. For those guys, I don't even suggest 10 milligram, only 8 milligram for those guys. 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, instead going back for the 500 or 800 milligram, go only for 140 milligram for blast. That's all. Then you're going to see, wait a second, I feel as good on this 140 milligram as I used to feel when I went on my first cycle with 500 milligram.
Sure.
You know, so then it's so far retired pro bodybuilders, non-retired, some national competitors, they all with open mind and they try this out. They are responding unbelievable. It's always fun. One of his Vinny Galanti is 50, it's going to be 56, and look at the results. And people be questioning if he's BSing and is taking all kind of stuff. So back to the testosterone therapy, especially you are over 45, over 50, even you still want to compete, do not, I don't suggest to go high dose, blast, blast if you want to blast, but there's no need to blast. You can just stay on 10 milligram, 10 milligram, because testosterone is very important. It's very important for men and women, but that doesn't solve the problem when you're getting old, okay? Because we mentioned in a previous podcast that what's in charge is the growth factors. Okay, so growth factors. And also when you suppressing your testosterone levels on a feedback mechanism, you basically shut down your hypothalamus function and also enteral cortex output. So basically, your body doesn't produce normal hormones, not just testosterone, you know. So to restore your hypothalamus, I don't care, are you Nick Walker or other guys competing in Olympia or non-Olympia, and they abusing and taking so much hormones, it doesn't matter. You must restore your hypothalamus function not once, at least 3 times a year. And you do this back and forth, back and forth.
And that could be done in 6 weeks, though.
Well, no,
Are you saying
basically,
that when you go back down to like the 8-9 milligrams a day,
yeah. So basically, let's see.
would it take a certain amount of, how many weeks would it be before the hypothalamus function would be normal?
Well, it's very important to incorporate the humanophobia growth factors.
Right.
They are
Correct.
very important.
I was just talking, like you said, maximum 10 weeks on. But what would be the minimum amount of time to be on the 10 milligrams a day for, say,
8 weeks? In 8 weeks, if the 8 weeks totally restored, but it's happening before that. It's happening first week already. Start restoring.
But you want a full 8 weeks where your body's doing its own
so
thing.
you start notice about 1-2 weeks, suddenly the guys, they feel that they have sperm again.
Yeah, I'm just going through that myself.
Okay. Also, they start feeling the testicles fuller.
Yeah, I'm going through that too.
And then during the day, sometime they are feels a little bigger,
Yeah, it's sporadic, and then the sex drive is kind of irritating sometimes because you're a married man, so you can chase your wife around the house a little bit, but
she doesn't let me.
I'm gonna have to have a talk with her, Emeric.
So the people challenging me on professional muscle, you remember there. Okay, so he said they want me to show a study, then restore hypothalamus. Okay, now if I want to make a study, why should pay thousands to prove to one guy? It's very easy. It's very easy. You take 800 or 1 milligrams, you barely have a little sperm, your sex drive is done, your testicles shrink to the P side, sometimes you can't find it, so it suddenly you start feeling, oh my God, I start feeling it back, you start having sperm ejaculation, goes further. That's already shows the hypothalamus functioning and your enteral cortex output. So it is no study for that. The study is in your pants.
Yeah, it's like I said, but on our previous video, I felt like I was going through puberty. It was like I was 12, 13 years old again.
Okay.
The way that I felt. And now I just feel normal.
Yeah. So
but my testicles, like I can tell they're working. All men know that feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason you feel that in puberty when you start the humanophore, because your hypothalamus didn't function, also exposed to very hard work and chemicals putting in your body doesn't produce. It's no study to show it does anything with your normal cell communication. It downregulates your growth factors, which growth factor is diminishing. So suddenly you took the humanophore, suddenly you had all the growth factors necessary to your body to take what it needs to, or whatever was lower, takes enough to make him to a normal level. So the humanophore does not increasing above. You can take as much one, it's not going to take out energy range, only regulates. So if you have anything in If, for example, you have a normal range, IGF-1 stays in normal range. If you have a fibrous growth factor 1, 2, 3, we go out of 23. If one of them it's not in good range, then our body grabs only the one, it's not in good range because it's not synthetic and comes from a very early stage of embryo development. So it has all the cell communication, that entire growth factors family in perfect balance. So, so if somebody wants to restore the hypothalamus in 8 weeks, it must add the Humaniform. Without the Humaniform, probably it will take longer. But with the Humaniform, it's a very quick speed up, and also the recovery time is very important. When you were 18 years old, you could work out all day long, yeah. And you can, when I was young working out, we barely ate and we was working like a nuts and recover because our growth factors are still a very nice high range. Yeah. So, and the latest studies I was reading, actually, these growth factors in some people, they start to diminish around after age 20. It's even start diminishing faster than testosterone, So
it's certain people.
Yeah, in certain people, and we'll have to find more research and science. It's maybe they're gonna start going up a population and different part of the world.
Sure.
Maybe it has something to do with the climate, with the environment. Food. We're exposed.
Chemicals, food, yeah.
For example, of course, you go one of those countries where the pollution is very high, like India and in China. I'm sure there are people have more problem with growth factors. I'm 100% sure. Now, the reason I know this environment toxicity chemicals in the air circulating is affecting us because the first research, the Miescu brothers, the scientist professor, him and his twin brother, the first research they did on cows, they were sterile. Yeah. And they find out that the pasture, the grass, from a chemical company, from the chimney, the dust settled down with the chemicals. So I know they get that. So that toxic environment chemicals, it has something to do with our growth factors. Mm-hmm. Is that on that base? Now, I'm just using my common sense.
Yeah. Now, question, like Dr. John Jaguish and I did a video. If you look at my YouTube feed, you'll see it. And we talked about testosterone. And he's on TRT, as he explained when he was younger, he had a bad rugby hit to the groin and endangered some things and had lower testosterone levels. So he had gone to his doctor, and the doctor said for proper heart health and everything, they needed to get his testosterone levels back up to normal. And when John started, you remember when a few years ago he started using his prototype X3? Yes. And that's when he had contacted Phil, and Phil had introduced all of us to John. Well, John had gone to see his endocrinologist, and he said, your free testosterone levels are bottomed right out. So they added some testosterone, brought him back up. He went back to training a few weeks later as they were bottomed out again. And he kept adding size. Then the doctor added a little more, just, within the legal parameters, but to get that free test up. And what they had seen was he was using it all. And there seems to be, as muscle gets larger, have you seen where it would produce more androgen receptors within the cells? You think that's a possibility? Because it seemed as though he kept using the testosterone, and then, the muscle mass would come up and it would bottom out and they'd add a little more, but it never was enough in the bloodstream to see. He said he had no estrogen issues, nothing like that. And
Sometimes also special if you do a large body part like leg squats, you your body will release after squats
yeah,
testosterone. So taking just testosterone for therapy and you're not exercising, I don't think so that much muscle going to put on.
he was exercising.
Yeah, so
that's my point. He
yeah.
was training really heavy with the heavy X3 bands every day and eating a lot of protein. And the doctor, every time he went in, he'd add a little bit of testosterone, but then he'd go in and his free levels would be down a little bit again, and they'd add just a little bit. And he said he noticed that, some strength and size come up just a little bit, but he never had issues, and the free levels never went out of range. So what we're thinking is, as the muscle gets larger, do we start to create more androgen receptors, and then are we using it, or does the androgen receptor amount never change?
No, we're born with receptors. You get receptors activated, more activated.
Right, so through the training.
More active is better. So, when you have more androgen receptors activated, of course, you feel it more. Now, what activates androgen receptors? Now we get again to the fibrous growth factors, because they the one act as a ligand to every single receptor, but not just androgen receptors. Right. So then, of course, you have more androgen receptors activated. The activity of what's injecting in, even it's little, you have more feeling and benefits, because instead, I'm just talking a number, instead of having 100 receptors active, now you have 200. I'm just putting a number. That doesn't mean, I'm just putting a number.
And that's why the free testosterone would bottom out, because you're using it.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
But it seemed as though as he went along, the doctor kept adding a little more, and it kept coming down. He was using it.
Okay. So do you know how many milligrams?
So as the muscle gets larger, do we activate more and more receptors? Possibly.
Oh, it can, because he did with the rubber band, yeah? So rubber band and weightlifting, what they have in common, then in one point, you put heavy on a full contraction.
That maximal contraction.
Yeah, but with the rubber band, it is, so you have 100 pounds, it's going to be 100 pounds from the bottom to here. With the rubber band, you don't know when by the get here, it's not 100, maybe it's 200 pounds,
So it's the bands normally will triple.
Yeah, so
in like a curl. So if you started with like 80, you'd end up with
I'm just using what I think. I don't have scientific study proving, but the results it shows. So I am assuming that the way I explain is true. So when you lifting and you're lifting correctly, and you are able to put continuous nice load on a muscle, that creates more testosterone production, and that when you have more testosterone, then you need more receptors.
Right. So when we're in a TRT benefit,
so
your
own body, it's activating receptors.
Yeah.
But that's very important, that how much you're injecting.
Correct.
Because if injecting 500 milligrams, then that's not going to activate.
Well, in his world, like, it was all within the legal, like, TRT dose guidelines. You know what I mean? 500 milligrams isn't going to be there. The doctor just started out low and just went up as the free levels were going down. And through the androgen receptor activation, he was using it. Now, where a lot of guys make mistakes, they'll not work out as much because something happens in their life. And they'll think, oh, I'll just keep taking this and that'll help a little bit. That's one of the worst times you're going to start getting side effects because you're not even working out or taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
You might as well go down to the 8 to 10 milligrams a day and just be a normal functioning person until you pull your head out and start working out again.
If somebody doesn't work out and just well-being and IQ, 8 milligrams should be plenty.
Yeah.
8 milligrams a day should be plenty. Now, if somebody older, let's talk about, 45 is young in my point of view. 45 is young. Let's say somebody's over 50 and still has that dream that won't be a pro bodybuilder.
Okay.
No. Which is easy right now.
You could do it, but you're not going to be the big guy on the Olympia stage.
So, and then let's say you get your pro card. So what are you going to do with the pro card? You're never going to stand up.
You just attain it.
Yeah, now if you start working out, you've been working out like you were 17, 18, and you're excellent shape, you're competing in nationals, and you're always missing it. I'm talking the old time, because right now they're giving pro card left and right. So you've been missing it. You were second, third, fourth, five, but you're still going for that goal. Yeah. You're still healthy. You're still working out. Now you're suddenly over 50, and suddenly now you can have a pro card over 50. So because you have a healthy lifestyle, you're still in shape, all your organs function normal, and the other guy who beat you 15 years ago nationals, when be a pro bodybuilder competing at Olympia stage, abusing all the drugs, now that guy suddenly looks like never worked out, and you stand there and walk in the street, you have somebody doesn't have no bodybuilding.
Right.
Look at those guys, they're both 55. Which one you think was competing Olympia stage? You will show the guy who's still in good shape. And you say, no, that guy said, what? So I have to bring up here again Vinny Galanti, because Vinny Galanti, he's been trying to get his pro card for years and years and years, and he still holds the record as an endorsement contract. He had the longest endorsement contract with Universal Nutrition, because his physique was always nice, balanced. But he's been tried the pro, but he had some hiccups because he has injuries, but in his mind, he still want to do it. So at age 56 almost now, he improved so much in the last, since November, I say. It's for some people mind-blowing, but I know why, because I did my first pro show at age 44, and I was the best at age 50. And I know it works because of the Humanifor, because the growth factors, these growth factors, it's this growth factor, a fibrous growth factor family, it's considered as a peptide, but they has an important role in development, repair.
Do we produce that oligopeptide?
Yeah, homeostasis, and also, believe it or not, this growth factor fibers, they're involved in the gut, in the intestine too. A lot of people, they don't know that.
So that's why you put it in the MBMB. Right?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. It can have all kind of gastrointestinal diseases. So when I had the pilot study conducted by Dr. Serrano, by the way, I talked with so many physicians, only Dr. Serrano knows this hormone testosterone therapy, a small doses, more frequent. I do have my doctor who I'm using for physical, and then I get my prescription from Kaiser. And this doctor, he said, all the doctors, they think it's 200 milligram per week because that everybody using it. But he admitted that when he finished medical school, they don't teach anything in medical school regarding this or growth factors. Forget about growth factors.
Or nutrition.
Yeah. So regarding these fibrous growth factors, it's people understand because they were calling it for a while snake oil, because you know the snake oil salesman helps everything. So he said, "Oh, you're selling snake oil." Instead, taking some time and spend half hour daily and check out all. First of all, what's happening in embryo stage development from the first day, and the easiest to follow the chicken embryo because it develops the fastest. Is very fast. If maybe I'm not 100% correctly, I think 1 hour chicken embryo equals with 1 month in humans. So in 1 hour, a chicken embryo, things happens.
That would be 9 hours and they'd be born.
Well, after 10 days, the chicken has already developed the vascular system. Then you can see the heart, everything in 10 days, imagine. Takes a couple months in the humans. So if you look into it, these growth factors are involved, like I mentioned, from your top of your head down your toenail in everything process, repair, regenerating, and also without these growth factors, peptides wouldn't exist. Right. And then have let's see, Phil, I tell you which pro guys they were. Tried the human effort, very good success. Well, Phil Hearn, of course. Then Claude Goulouse, you know, the Masters Mr. Olympia. But actually, after Phil Hearn, the other pro bodybuilder stayed the longest on human effort, believe it or not, was Ronnie Colman. Ronnie Colman.
I had heard Ronnie took human effort.
Yeah.
I had heard that.
Yeah. So Ronnie, I spoke with Ronnie. Ronnie really wanted this human effort on his product line.
Okay.
I spoke with his partners, and they said it's too expensive, the raw material, because the talk me and Ronnie spoke.
Something that saved Ronnie Coleman's life is too expensive a material.
Well, no, they're looking for, because see, they have to make profit margin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you have a very expensive raw material, you can't market it up too high in the bodybuilding industry. Now, this human effort, you throw on a different label and you send them out to a clinics day treating people with memory problems like dementia. Yeah. I'm not saying that this cures dementia. No. But because the nerve growth factor would support memory restore. Yeah. Just imagine you have somebody with dementia, stage 5, sitting there, doesn't hungry, and suddenly you bring the supplement. If it doesn't become normal, but comes to the stage where he's able to take shower, he's able to make his peanut butter sandwich while they're eating, and you can have a conversation. That's huge. Now, just imagine you have a family member and you have to go work. You can't leave him home alone, her or she. So what you need, you have to hire in living somebody, or you're putting one of those homes. Those homes and Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia clinics, when you don't know what I'm doing, it's about $15,000 a month. Now just imagine suddenly you don't have to put them in that kind of home. You're able to keep them home and you don't have to worry. And let's see, I would be a physician and I would tell you know what, I have something for here. 1 month supply, $200. $200 versus $12,000. I would say, give it to me, you know? Right. So I'm just telling you the price, the marketing, depend what needs him. If you need where you need to change your life and you stay healthy, money should be not really that important in the sense that I pay a couple $100 per month. That's nothing. Now, in the bodybuilding industry, oh, 49 is too expensive. But, you know, they spend on IGF, and they spend on all
Yeah.
other product more and more. So
But
whoever gonna watch, whoever gonna watch this, I don't care who are you, professional, non-professional, you body runs and depending on growth factors, not the hormones. You know, for example, Phil, you remember when Dallas turned pro?
Dallas McCarver.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Phil called me, said, Emeric, can you talk with this kid? This kid gonna kill himself.
okay.
You know, so I talked to him. That was telling what to do. Probably said laughing. You know, what's wrong with this guy? You know, when
Yeah.
I was trying to open his eye. I went through in bodybuilding industry from the 60s with all this generation. I see tragedy, I see sick people, and I know people they still around, and it's all the guys they still around they didn't abuse
Right.
properly.
Right. Or if they abused, it was short term and they got their health back in order. And I I can tell you my own personal experience, and this is why I laugh when these guys in these gyms mock you, for example, because I did the same shit they were doing. As you know, I worked with a pro maker that claims he taught Nichols how to use insulin and did the same protocol to me. And I guarantee that was one of the biggest causes of my heart failure. Um, but these guys, what it is going on is, they think it's a dose amount rather than just going up. So you know what I mean? Like you're taking 70 milligrams, then you're taking 100, you're taking 150. These guys, they can get just as much if they work their way up like 500 milligrams than they did on 3,000 milligrams.
Yeah,
Because it would be gradual, and then they can recover their health, go back down to a minimal amount,
yeah, yeah.
eat healthy, work out, just be healthy people. But for some reason, and I was stuck in the midst of it. I was at the national level and everything, and these guys are starting you on 1,200 milligrams a week,
Yeah.
starting you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then come contest time, you don't even take any time off. Now we're just going to add a bunch more compounds. And what is my buddy Shelby Starnes and I used to talk about it. It wouldn't matter. It didn't even matter what you took. If somebody could have put something in a syringe, it could have been Masteron and two other compounds. Your results are almost the same. And it's because you're just going up instead of what these guys think is they're adding all these compounds and they're dieting for a show. They're getting leaner. All of a sudden they add Masteron in and they think, oh, this Masteron's making me look leaner and harder. No, they're fucking dieting and getting leaner, and they're adding androgens and putting on muscle and getting leaner. It doesn't matter what they took, unless obviously if they had high estrogen levels and water retention, that would blur the look. But it's not the fact that they're taking these certain compounds, it's the fact that they're going up in an androgenic and anabolic dose.
Yeah.
So
well, regarding this, they get something and it's not even real. Let me tell you a story with Ronnie Colman.
Sure.
And they were other athletes, but I can so Victor Conte Balco, I'm still a good friend with Victor. So back then I was importing Carsil from Bulgaria. Carsil is 100% silmer and milk thistle. So it's a pharmaceutical grade, the best in the world.
Liver?
So
like liver support? Is that what you're using?
So Victor Conte needed that for, he was involved also with track and field athletes, and to be sure then the liver are protected. So when was the San Francisco Pro Invitational, and was main sponsor was Sofarma Bulgaria, the Tristan. Okay. So I made arrangement, and Victor Conte will come make a presentation on his ZMA. So Victor tried to expose the ZMA in the bodybuilding industry, and he's been contacting the Weider office, and nobody returned his call. So the way I became friend with Victor, my friend Rob Harrop, who's active on Facebook. He looks fantastic right now. Actually, he looks better now than when he was younger. So he told Victor, back then was only was two pro bodybuilders. No, was in this county while I was the only pro bodybuilder, and in San Francisco was Flavio Baccanicchi. So and Scott Wilson was in San Jose. So three bodybuilders here, but Rob knew that I'm friend with Joe Weider. So then Rob called me, said, it's okay if I give your phone number to Victor. I said, yeah, no problem. So I talked with Victor and asked, what are you doing? What's your business? He said, what I can do, I can test athletes for minerals. And he said, which way you do? I said, well, the way I do blood, hair, and pubic hair, testing minerals. And I said, okay. And I can tell exactly which minerals you take, because sometimes you take minerals, you don't need it. So you have to take only the ones you have a good range. Yeah. And I said, Victor, I want to find out on myself, how much you charge? Then he said, if you can be one of the subjects in a test, it's free. I said, okay. He said, do you know any other bodybuilders they interested? I said, you know what, let me call a few guys I'm friend. I called Milos, I called Rich Gaspari, and Milos was, of course, Milos is interested in all the science. Yeah. So immediately Milos came down.
I could see Milos being part of that. He's a smart guy.
Rich Gaspari came down.
Yeah.
Then we had a athlete meeting at San Francisco. Victor came to make a presentation, and by that time already Gaspari didn't compete in that show, but Milos did. So Milos stand up also and told the athletes, and listen, this I recommend for everybody to do. This is very important because I find out what's the problem. So for example, no one knew back then that if you take calcium with zinc, it prevents zinc absorption. So the way Victor found out, had different athletes coming, and they had no zinc. He said, I'm taking supplements. He said, bring me a supplement. It was a multi-mineral, calcium, zinc, magnesium. So you can take magnesium and zinc together, So then Victor said, okay, guys, now take. He was giving supplements. Zinc alone, it showed zinc. It gave him magnesium with zinc. Zinc showed. They added calcium, no zinc. So he find out then you don't take calcium and zinc together. If you take any calcium, it has to be like maybe like 1%, no more. So at the meeting, what they were 20, they were like 26 high. I mean, this contest was loaded. I mean, back then you competed, it was not Mickey Mouse. So when I decided to compete, I know I had no chance. I was competing. Dorian Yates wasn't there. Everybody else, I competed, on stage. I know I had no
that was the first year Ronnie won it, or what?
That was the first Ronnie won the Olympia that year. So yeah. So
that would have been like 97. Was that 97?
No, he won 1989. Let me see.
Ronnie? No.
1998. 1998 won the first.
Hey, okay.
I'm just looking I have a poster on my wall.
Oh, it's cool, man. It's cool. You're only like 11 years off. It's all right.
So what was the question? They were not interested about zinc and stuff like that. They said, can you test for drugs we're taking? I said, yes. So they were interested if they're taking the real thing. So they gave a list. I'm not going to tell you because pretty much I know how bad health they were, most of them. I can just talk on Ronnie because we became friends. So Ronnie gave a list, and then He supposedly was taking Winstrol V, didn't show up Winstrol, no Winstrol V. His IGF was the bottom, so he was injecting bacteriostatic water. So basically, somebody sold him, I don't know who did, somebody sold him test because they all had high testosterone. They were testosterone with a different label.
Yeah.
And
so it wasn't fake,
etc.
it was counterfeit.
So I don't know, Ronnie gonna see this now. I have great respect with Ronnie. Ronnie was too busy. He was a cop, probably had no really time to do on his own some research, on a lot of things. But when we went to Wheeler's office for a contract, I was negotiating. But let's go back all this other stuff with the Balco. So blood work comes back. Had no Winstrol positive, has no Anavar positive. It was all testosterone, So then they were very triglyceride on everybody was really high. I remember Don Long, his kidney was so bad, and Victor told him that you need to shut down immediately everything. And I guess he didn't. And then he had to get from somebody kidney. So just to show you that when you purchase something on the black market, you know what you're getting. And I had many times offering buy this in the black market, and I said, you know what? In my head, I was questioning, this is real or not. And just that,
you don't know who's putting it together.
And then you don't feel confident, and you start thinking about what the hell us injecting. Do I have injecting something can infect my blood? Because these people they're getting is a test flu. That's not freaking test flu. It's bacteria.
Probably dirty.
How many times people inject real things for pharmacy? They didn't have test flu. Suddenly you buy something for Joe.
Dirty gear.
And yet I have a test flu. I don't hook on with this test flu. So that shows you that you have to be really focused on your health. And don't go on the black market and try that stuff. I had approached on the Facebook many companies, and I told them many times, do not come in my Facebook and start to sell and promote anabolic steroids, because I don't believe on
I run into that
market.
too. I get assholes that send me friend requests and try to push steroids on my news feed all the time. I just block them.
So back to Victor. So Victor was Milos sort of educated, get Victor into it, the insulin. Then I share something, Victor. I remember
the pie filling in insulin probably was what was throwing their triglycerides through the roof.
So I
you think myself, that had something to do with it?
Myself, I wouldn't inject insulin. If somebody does, I don't care. I don't say. I don't tell him inject or not. It's you use your own common sense. You want to use it. Me personally wouldn't. So I shared with Victor something, because some of the Eastern Bloc weight lifters, they were using insulin, but on the doctor supervision, and they were using it only when they had, because some days they worked out twice. So when they had days working out twice a day, so did a very early morning workout,
speed up the uptake of protein, and they'd recover quicker.
They took only 2 international units, that's all, for the recovery purpose. So you take that much, then you don't have to worry about for the next couple hours they have to take a whole bunch of sugar, because they figure out if we're putting too much insulin, you have to take so much carb. So now
protein.
Well, now, let's say some guys I heard injecting 20 internal units. So just imagine.
I had a guy on me that had me doing 20 units 3 times a day.
So how much carb did you eat?
He had me eat an entire can of pie filling and a bowl of oatmeal with every shot.
Yeah.
Thing is, those
Did you
carbs
start
aren't
getting
doing
a little,
shit.
did
Those
you
carbs
start
aren't
getting a
doing
little
shit.
chubby?
Oh yeah.
You must be
No,
lethargic.
I worked construction and worked out and everything, like I never really got that fat, but I put on fat. And if you're putting on fat, you're taking in too much energy. All these guys think, oh, you're bulking, you're putting on fat. If you're accumulating fat, you are not gaining muscle. Your body is busy storing fat. You're turning into a fat ass.
Yeah. Well,
But
your body can
that
store
that
your body can
fucking
store.
carbs don't build muscle. That's the part that pisses me off about that whole scenario.
Well, your body can store carbohydrate. Your liver can store, and your muscle. Once you liver, because when you deplete your muscle, the liver sustains you with a glycogen. Yeah. So once
at that point you're just going to get fat.
When you replace liver and muscle, and you're still pushing that sugar, where it goes to the fat cell.
Yeah, fat cells, but then your lipids go crazy and your triglycerides are all fucked up too. Yeah. And on top of that, carbs don't build muscle. They're an energy source.
Yeah.
And we can take some to superficially feel a little fuller for a show or something like that. But just having it, there's a natural float and you just have a little bit of carbs here and there as needed. The whole thing is insulin takes up more protein. And that's where everybody had it wrong. They're like, oh, the pros are using insulin. What are they doing? So they start taking insulin and start taking a bunch of carbs. They're not doing it right.
Your insulin is a spike up after workout. What I prefer, like after workout, take a tablespoon honey that slightly spikes your insulin higher than the regular sugar, and it's better for you. Now back to Ronnie. So Ronnie triglyceride was way bad, very bad. So I suggest him take the Humanofort. He was taking already the Trilystem. So I started taking the Humanofort. And then, of course, he started feeling better. And when he started using the insulin, I never asked how much insulin to take. I just didn't want, I didn't want to get involved at all in insulin. He was taking it. So Victor was under investigation. They came to the lab, and I was the main suspect. I was an informant. They gave information. Then I'm a multi-million-dollar international steroid and other drug ringleader. Millions and millions.
Well, I wish I'd have known that.
Yeah. So on that base.
Why are you holding out on us, Emeric? You're holding out on us. We didn't know you were a ringleader.
So on that base, the district attorney gave okay to go after me. They were taking my garbage for the whole year. I didn't know. And I was, I'm not going to mention names, I don't care. But anyway, the informant sent somebody to my office fishing around, because the person came to my office. I know him from the gym, etc. I said, hey, how you doing? And he said, what's? He said, well, that guy told me, said I got in trouble. I stole some empty prescription notes from a doctor and was filling up for Vicodin. And he got in trouble. And he said, I'm kind of hurt. So I said, you know what? Here's $20. I give you, go get a sandwich. He was hungry. Yeah. He was asking me, any trip to Romania? I said, yeah, actually, I'm flying Friday. I'm flying to Romania, signing my contract for the Humanofort. And when you're coming back? I said, Wednesday. So believe it or not, Wednesday, I'm coming to San Francisco Customs. The narcotics agents from the customs, they're waiting for me. They're waiting. They took me in a room. They checked everything, suitcase, everything. I had all the documents. I had my contract for Humanofort for Romania, and they couldn't find anything. And I said, what the hell? I think, why is that? I find this after the investigation, and Victor Conte's attorney had access to all information on investigation on me. And it was a document. An informant told him that I'm coming back from Romania with drugs, because they believed the informant and they thought I'm the multi-million-dollar ring. ring. So
You're
on that
informed, you
base,
didn't know you
first
didn't
on
know
that base,
people very well.
on that base, once they find out that the information, they start investigation on me, it was incorrect. They should stop the investigation because they spent, I'm not sure, but Victor, I think he told me that they spent over $60 million on this Balco Barry Bonds investigation from your and my tax money. So once was find out that the entire investigation was on lie, they should stop right there. But they didn't stop. No. Right. So during that time, Ronnie was already Mr. Olympia, and then he was still part-time police officer. So he scared to call Victor because Milos helped Victor to put something together, and Victor's called him something like that. So what was dextrose or maltodextrin with whey protein. So he was supplying Ronnie Colman with this whey protein with dextrose.
Dextrose is garbage.
And then Ronnie always called me, said, "Can you tell Victor I need more?" So I was called Victor, said, "Send him more." So one day Ronnie calls me. I'm not saying, I don't say anything about Ronnie bad because he's a nice guy, but he called me panicking. I run out the whey protein. I try to remember what was the name, but so anyway, he said, "I run out. I don't know what to do because I'm taking the insulin." I said, "Whoa, Ronnie, slow down. Do you have whey protein?" I said, "Yeah." "Do you have sugar?" I said, "Yeah, just take them together." He said, "Really?" I said, "What the hell you was taking? What do you think we're taking?"
Dextrose, corn sugar, you're fucking pixie sticks.
Oh, he said, "Really?" I said, "You were taking whey protein with sugar, yeah, basically."
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So that's just how sometimes people they take stuff and they don't look into it and what they're taking,
Yeah.
and you can have them very simple. You could have this whey protein and get a white bread with sprinkle on sugar
Right.
and eat the sugar with the whey protein.
Well, it's just the carb abuse is ridiculous, and it saddens me that bodybuilders, we'd always been that stupid and to just follow suit with that, because all the extra carbs did was raise the acidity level in our body and cause over oxidation of things and screws all the cholesterol up in your lipids and triglycerides and everything else. And all these people marketing these pre-workout, post-workout with maltodextrin, dextrose, and all this crap. I mean, how can people even ethically be doing that and be okay with themselves?
So we became very close with Ronnie. He even came visited me. We worked out maybe 2 times back then. He was dating Vicky Gates.
He's just he's just a great dude. Ronnie's a good person.
Then I was telling Ronnie, because Ronnie didn't use that much test. First time he started getting information on other stuff, he was flying. They were flying back for some Grand Prix. I was sitting next to Flex Wheeler, and Flex Wheeler started telling him this and that and that. He didn't know. But I was telling, because we went to Joe Weider's office, I was involved in a contract. So the way it was, I was doing business with Joe Weider. I was importing the Tribistan from Bulgaria in blister packs, and Joe Weider created his own box and was in Joe Weider's signature. And he had a company back then called Metaform, and also Muscle Tribe. The Muscle Tribe, Tribistan was endorsed by Eddie Robinson. Okay, so Joe asked me, said, "Would you please give me a list all pro bodybuilders they know about and they used or taking the Tribistan?" So I sent the list. Was Milos, Dennis James, Phil Hearn, Vicky Gates, Ronnie Colman. They were all on Tribistan. So when Ronnie Colman won the first Mr. Olympia, he was endorsing Matrix. So then Joe Weider called me and said, you gave me a list. Joe was a businessman, smart. He said, you gave me a list with these guys. Are you talking with Ronnie? I said, oh yeah, we almost talk almost daily. He said, I need him to leave Matrix and come and endorse and represent Weider. All the Mr. Olympias, they were representing Weider. I opened the door basically for everybody because back then Bob Hoffman he didn't let colored people or other Asians to compete. So, so Joe Weider was opened the door. Doesn't matter, black, Asian, you can compete in my organization.
Right.
So I called Ronnie and I told him what's the story. And he said, well, I'm getting $100,000 a year from Matrix, and plus any contest I enter,
they're matching the prize money.
Yeah, they gave me a bonus. For example, Grand Prix, they were like 10,000 only.
Okay.
So I'll get that. And plus next year I'll win Olympia. It's going to be 110 or 120,000. I get a bonus also matching that.
Right.
I said, okay. So I called Joe and I said, this was Ronnie's response. And then Joe asked me, said, ask Ronnie to call Scott Conley and ask him, can you guarantee that I'm going to win Olympia and I'm going to win any other Grand Prix? So basically, so I called Ronnie and said, okay, that's mean if I don't go with him, I can kiss goodbye to any place, first place. I said, pretty much,
Politics.
Ronnie said, well, can you talk for me? Can you negotiate for me? I'm not too good at that. I said, well, okay, I will negotiate and I will call you. So I called Joe and I said, Ronnie wants guarantee $200,000 a year, competing or not competing. And Joe said, no problem. So I called Ronnie and said, you got it. He said no. I said no. He said, oh, can you ask for more? I said, whoa. Don't push it. Don't go further. He said, Joe is a businessman. You cannot go back and forth. If you would tell me, ask for 300,000, I would ask, you can go back and forth. I asked, you want 200,000? He said, no problem. Okay. So then Joe said, I would like you to be here when Ronnie comes for the meeting because I don't want him to change his mind. But in the meantime, Vicky Gates called me. Emeric, is any way maybe you can get me a contract with Joe? I said, well, Joe is very interested in Ronnie.
At this time, Vicky was dating Ronnie?
Yes, they were living together.
Okay.
She was a great lady. She was really supporting Ronnie. So I called Joe. I said, it's a request. Ronnie's girlfriend, who she's competed professionally, I think she finished third in Miss Olympia, asking if she can get a contract. And Joe said, is that going to make Ronnie happy? I said, yeah, okay, tell her I got her a contract. So I called Vicky, you have a contract. She said, oh, okay. So I said, Ronnie, he's sending you airfare. A ticket for airplane. He's sending me. We're going to arrive pretty much same time to the airport, maybe 10 minutes between my flight. You wait there because he sends his driver to pick us up from the airport.
Okay.
Then Vicky comes before. He sends me ticket too. He said, no. He said, that's an insult. So he gives me a contract without even look at me. I said, Vicky, he's interested in Ronnie. If that makes Ronnie happy, then he goes for. Then I'm not going to Ronnie go there. But I heard Ronnie said, you're crazy, I'm going. So I called Joe back and said, it's anyway she can come too. And then Joe said, oh, she wears the pants. Okay, I'm sending her a ticket too. So we all showed up there, and then with office. So Joe had Dr. Jim Wright in office. Then you need any help with the health, etc. We're gonna help you because I want you to compete and beat Lee Haney's record. Joe was there to have Ronnie the new record holder. Record holder. So when we from the airport we driving to Joe, Ron asked him. He said, "It's any way you can get Joe give a contract to my nutritionist." I'm not going to mention the name. I said, you know what?
We all know.
I said, you know what? I'm not getting involved. After we negotiate, you have a contract, everything, then you mention that to him. I don't want to get involved. I'm a good relationship with Joe, and I don't want, have anything mess up me and him.
Yep.
So everything's going on. Then suddenly he says, I have this nutrition who helps me to get lean and dry. Can you maybe give a contract? And Joe, because we were, if you went to Joe's office, had the conference room and has his own office separately. So he took me his office, says, Emeric, who's this guy? I said, that's a guy. He said, well, did he supply him with the steroids? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. He said, well, I can give a contract to somebody. Then the word goes out, then Joe either gives contract to suppliers, Then I mentioned who's this person's wife, and the wife was a professional bodybuilder, so the wife ended up with a contract. Okay. So his dietitian supposedly, he had, but not directly.
What's her name? Kim?
Yeah. So I try to explain that, Ronnie, that listen, because he was ready to Mr. Olympia, not that year. Yeah. 2 years before, because Olympia didn't place good, but as soon as after Olympia, they went to Grand Prix in Europe, they beat Kevin Lovron, he beat all the guys, placed front of him in Olympia, yeah? So I told Ronnie, listen, you build your physique, a Mr. Olympia physique with hard work, dedication, and with very low only testosterone. I tried to explain he doesn't need to go the other route. So he went other route, and he started getting stronger, lifting heavier, putting more.
Yeah, but his physique didn't improve that much.
No, putting more load and strain on the joints, ligaments, and the nerves, everything. So that shortened down his career. So when we ended up the first meeting, went for the contract, Ronnie Colman, was expecting 200,000 guarantee plus prize money from Olympia plus Grand Prix, but was a package deal for him. The package deal was first year, listen to this, $600,000. We're talking about 99 days, $600,000. That's like $1.5 million these days, Then he was the first pro bodybuilder, was making $1 million from second year till the day he left Joe. He's the guy who was making $1 million without having on the side any business, just pure from that competition. So when he left Weider, I was Joe Weider, and the movie No Pain, No Gain, which in movie I play myself, the movie producers, directors, the writers, they asked me if I'm willing to put something. They want to show the movie to Joe Weider as employees before goes to the movie theater. So we had this arrangement. So we went there, was only Joe Weider employees there, and Joe Weider was in the wheelchair because of the back. And Ronnie knows that I'm Joe. So my phone rings, I'm sitting next to Joe. And Ronnie said, he said, can you ask Joe to pay me more because I have an offer from other company and they matching what I'm making now with Joe right now, exactly. And I don't know what he said. Matching that,
That wouldn't be a very good idea.
Matching everything, because the way was the package in a muscle and fitness, they were workout, ride up. So Ronnie being a magazine, he sold the magazines too. So the package was the revenue coming from this and that was all together. Plus, anyway, it was a huge convention and they wanted a reader to go there. Automatically, they must have pay Ronnie first class. And I don't know how many thousands of just to sit there in the booth, in the reader's booth. So I'm telling Joe, Ronnie's calling me. His was phone. He said, asking me if you can pay a little more. And Joe said, you know what, Emeric, I'm not, and tell him that I wish him the best. So I told Ronnie, he's not gonna pay you more, and he wish you the best. So guess what? He never became Mr. Olympia. Now, what happened when he signed up with BSN? BSN, he shared that he takes Humanofort. So BSN came out with a product with the Humanofort, was Axis HT, but they underdosed the product. They added all kind of herbs, and I tried to explain, you cannot replace growth factors. It's impossible. You cannot add they had all kinds of weird herbs.
Yeah, nothing from a plant is going to even mimic that remotely.
But they didn't understand. They didn't understand. Even now, after this many years, finally, I'm not going to mention a couple trainers, they're training top guys. Suddenly, we start talking and they start understanding. They start understanding. So then BSN made the product, and Ronnie said, I don't notice anything from Axis HT. I said, it's underdosed because I know exactly how many milligrams they're using per capsules. So we're still supplying him the Humanofort, but he didn't use the BSN Axis HT. He was using mine. So when we were talking about he wants under his supplement line, he knows how he felt. He didn't understand these growth factors,
He just knew that he felt better.
All he noticed, because it's no way trained the way he trained, heavy, daily, plus was doing cardio before contest, sometimes was doing 2 hours a day. It's no freaking way you were able to have that recovery just taking testosterone, Vinstro, or whatever, But still this day, he doesn't understand that he had genetics, dedication, work ethic, but he had edge over the other guys because the Humanofort.
Sure.
Not because hormone is the recovery. Faster you recover, faster you can push it, and faster more the gain.
Yeah.
More the gain. So basically, if Ronnie would listen to me, he would be still in good shape, but I'm a very small dose protocol guy. So this didn't happen. Now, you remember when Günther Schalpnop beat Ronnie Colman?
Yes.
Okay, here's the story. Reader calls me, said, what's wrong with Ronnie? I said, what do you mean? He said, he's competing on wind strain or something, a GNC contest, and
It was like it was a German Grand Prix or something.
no, it was in the United States, but the GNC and was $100,000 for first place.
Yeah, I thought it was in Germany or something.
No, it was here. And then Joe says he makes all this money, and I want him to be in shape, best shape and stage. It's Olympia, because if they start seeing him in the Mickey Mouse contest, because he stopped doing Grand Prix when he was Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, he did that after the Olympia, and he was 20 pounds lighter, probably because he'd come off the gear or something.
See, after the Olympia, he did the Grand Prix, didn't have a contract with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So did he need the Grand Prix? So Joe tells me, I have a contract, and I said, I knew I have the contract also. He doesn't says he cannot compete, but he said Lee Haney did Grand Prix before he signed his contract. I want these guys focused on Olympia, don't go through all this diet over and over, stress on the body. I want longevity. He said, call him, but do not mention him. Then I called you, and I don't want him to compete, because I don't want him, some weird sue me or something. And I said, hey, Ronnie, I heard then you're doing a contest. He said, yeah, I'm doing it. It's $100,000. I said, are you sure you want to do it? You want to go to that all? He said, yeah, 100 grand. I said, most of the guys during Yates, after they were contract with Joe had a contract, they didn't do no Grand Prix, because Joe supplied them with a really nice contract. They didn't have to go Mickey Mouse $10,000 shows. And sometimes costs you more 10,000 just to get ready, so you break even, yeah. So he said, "Oh, Joe doesn't want me to compete." No. So he called Joe, because Joe called me. He called me. He said, "Joe, it's okay to do the contest." And I said, "You will grow up, man. I'm not holding you back. You can do anything you want. You're not my prince. I don't keep you like a prisoner." And Ronnie called me and said, "Hey, it's okay to compete." I said, "Okay." Guess what? He lost the contest.
Yeah.
That was Joe Weider didn't want the contest to give him a lesson. So after the contest, Ronnie calls me and said, "Emeric, did he told you don't compete?" I said, "Listen, Ronnie, no comments. I can't say anything." But after Joe passed, I did told him, yes. He told me. He said, "You should tell me, because I wouldn't compete." I said, "No, I didn't want to say, because, if he asked me, don't tell you, and he finds I told you, you're going to tell me, Emeric,
yeah,
I trust you. I mean, what kind of friend we are?" Because we became very close. So then when he won the first Mr. Olympia, he won square, and he deserved it. Square. There was no politics. What politics was? Flex Wheeler not going to be the Mr. Olympia, because Flex, just before the Mr. Olympia, he signed a contract with Country Life. So now what I'm telling you, is not going to be all over. Everybody know. Few guys they know. I shared them personally, but now people they didn't know the story. Now they're gonna find out. So because Flex signed a contract, a little more money.
Gotcha.
And Joe either wish him the best.
Yeah.
And then what happened? It was coming the contest, and he just told the chairman, Mannion, that you're gonna be you have a new Mr. Olympia. I said, "Yeah, Flex." He said, No, not Flex. He said, "They want to know who," because he had other guys in contract. I think he had Nasir.
Mm-hmm.
Then Joe said, "If one of those guys in my contract did the best, yes. But if somebody is better than anybody, I don't care who he's representing." And that's how Ronnie Colman, first Mr. Olympia, he was the best, period. There was no politics. Now, the last Mr. Olympia when Ronnie won was politics, because Joe Weider pulled. Because the last Olympia he won Jay Cutler, because Jay Cutler beat him after that. Yeah, remember after the last Olympia he beat him, has no anymore with Joe, because Joe wanted Ronnie to beat Lee Haney's record. And if he wouldn't he wouldn't go to BSN, he would win the Tomorrow Olympia, even he would not deserve it.
Yeah.
He would because Joe wanted a new record holder.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it'll be a long time. It'll be a long time before we ever see that again. And I think some of the politics of the same guy winning the Olympia over and over and over has been killed. We probably won't ever see that again.
I tell you, since Joe was not feeling good and let out the whole nation from his hand to Dave Packer, what was his name? You know, Dave Packer owns many tabloid magazines. He took over.
Yeah, I don't know the name of that one.
So anyway, when Joe stepped back, I know this is going to be going heel down. When you went to Joe's office to sign a contract, Joe said, "You're representing Weider, yeah? You talk, walk, and dress as a pro. You talk like a pro, no slang, no this shit and that shit. You have to be really polite." Back then, you remember, was the press meeting with the athletes, they all sport.
Ronnie always wore the pinstripe purple suits and yellow suits.
Or you tie not but button. Now you go, they all the hoodies and stuff. They look like they're going for
gangbangers. Yeah.
So I have other stories for another time, but
we'll have to cut it off here. I wanted to bring up that I really want to thank you for everything you said tonight. It really solidified a lot of things in my mind too, that I'm going the right direction coaching guys with, the dosages and using variable resistance, trying to, we're not going to have the injuries and setbacks and health issues and things like that. I want to start a new, healthier crop of bodybuilders for the future, and having you as part of my team and like Dr. John Jagwish and all of our friends that are experienced, having all of you in my circle means the world to me. And it gives me the utmost confidence to know that myself and my athletes in the future are going to be in a really good hands, because of I'm always in really good hands. Another thing too is I would really like, Humanifort, a lot of people think it's for bodybuilders. And I want to let everybody know that Humanifort is probably one of the most incredible supplements ever to be created. And it's not only good for men, it's also good for women, it's good for animals. There's not side effects with this. There's only positive things, and that's it. And for that, next week, I got a hold of Gina Jones, female bodybuilder that you've helped with the Humanifort. And she had some issues that she'll share with us, and the Humanifort has helped that.
So, and mammals and humans, we have all in common. We have spleen, organs, these growth factors on both. It's identical. Now, woman and man, we all share this. It's only what's different between man and woman. Genetically, the woman will produce less testosterone. But the growth factors, fiber growth factors, they all there. Now, on women, it's very effective on menopause, believe it or not, PMS. I mean, some women, they're very irritated. You can't stay around and have PMS. During PMS, it's really, really good too. And then I have great success when many women have miscarriage, their success, and all women giving birth.
Fertility.
Yes, all women giving birth, doctors, the first thing said, I never saw such a healthy placenta ever in my life. Now
they were taking it through their pregnancy.
Now on reproduction in men and women, it's something else they call activin. Activin.
I'm familiar with that one.
It's involved in ovulation and also testicle function in men. So when you shut down your testicle function, nobody did research what's happened with the activin. Because you can stop using, and then if somehow you damage your activin level, then you're not going to have a baby, you know. So that's what I'm telling people: try anything you want. You're on the market and you're not able to make a baby. They give it a try to human effort, and let's see what's happened. What's happened? But it's for women.
Well,
It's
then they would
as
get
good as for.
they would get pregnant with just a normal pregnancy too. They wouldn't like the fertility drugs, and we have this horror stories of the Octomom and stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna,
Yeah.
run into that.
Yeah, was a Redwood City police officer who they removed one of his testicle because cancerous,
Yeah.
and he wanted to have a baby, so we put him on Humanifort, and guess what? He ended up with twins. So because his sperm count was very high and the mobility, because you can have sperm, but they don't swim, so they have to have mobility. So having a lot of sperm, but they are not mobile, they're not swimming, then it's not good. You have to have high sperm count and mobility. So whatever looking for somebody, not for bodybuilding purposes, just for overall health, and also I know a lot of guys, pro bodybuilders, they watching this, and I know they're reading my Facebook.
Yeah.
So if you need help, you can contact me. Don't worry, I'm not going to give out your name.
Yeah.
We're not going to embarrass you, guru, or anything like that. You want to restore your hypothalamus, call me. You want use 1,000 milligram test and trembolone, then don't call me. Talk with your guru at that about. You talk with me about health.
Yeah. So I guess we'll cut her off there, and next week we'll have Gina Jones and a whole bunch of new info, and everybody will get to meet Gina, and we all know that
he just texted me something very important. What happened when she was on Humanifort, and what's happened when she stopped using it. I'm going to let her to share this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then people get a good load of Gina's personality, and I like to share that. She's a gas.
So good wishes to everybody, and I'll be back. Oh, can I make a joke?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was joking that I'm going to go to Hollywood for the audition. So when you go to audition to Hollywood, usually you play a part of the movie.
Yeah.
It's a drama, So I said, I go to Hollywood, and what you said, well, I picked up a really good line. He said, what? Sarah Connor, I'll be back. Fuck you, asshole. That was the line. Arnold Schwarzenegger, first Terminator. Then I was joking, probably I have somebody. I said, I was wondering if when they did the movie, they had those cardboards showing Arnold and say, fuck you, asshole. If you remember the line, I'm joking. I'm joking. But when they did that video front of Levi's Plaza in San Francisco, and Ryan Seacrest was not yet with American Idol, so he was the host running the show, where I made the raw eggs and broccoli drink.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the pictures of that.
Yeah. So I made that, and I have a really good sense of humor, So it was invited to the show Flavio and Roland Kickinger. So what they did, they tried to embarrass bodybuilders that were weak. So they had a Olympic bar with weights. So I showed the bent over row, but they had a truck with a harness and a rope to pull it, And Flavio his body was very low. It's no way he can move that truck. Roland was tall and 200 something pounds, so they didn't. So then Ryan put his harness on, and they couldn't pull it. So I grabbed, and it's very easy. Once you strongly pull, and once the truck starts to move, you keep the momentum and rolls. Longest you have to pull heel up, then forget it about. But in a flat purpose, in a flat purpose, you can just go and push the truck. So then without being told me, Ryan had a ball of oil. He shows him, said, love oil, and start putting on me. I'm a good joker. So I said, well, he paid me $100, let him to touch me. Then I said, now all you have to put on me garlic, then eat me, but they cut out the eat me. So then he took one glass, and they took off the camera. I said, how the hell you can drink? And I said, well, the way you drink this, you're not gonna try to taste it. You put them on and glug, 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 non-stop. Then you have the aftertaste at one time. You don't want to taste it because it has no flavor, no sweetener. Then I was joking that the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, he doesn't put broccoli, he put his mother's apple strudels. So after the show, the lady with the TV, man, I didn't know you're so funny. I want you to come back. Then Roland was asking me, Emeric, who wrote the script? I said, what script? That's not script. That's my personality. I'm a joker. I mean, if somebody makes fun of me, I can turn him around where he end up being fun made, not me. Yeah. And that's a sense of humor of Arnold too. So a lot of my generation bodybuilders have a real good sense of humor because there was nothing censored back then. You could make a joke. You can come and slap my ass in the street, I wouldn't sue you.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
All right, brother.
So I see you next week, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thanks everybody for tuning in. And just as he said, I'll see you next week.